Hello, this is Chris, Reception Manager at Sight for White, welcoming you to this week's Talking News for Saturday, the 30th of April 2022. Well, you're probably all wondering where Lisa is, our CEO. Well, I can tell you that she's out with our Striders group. They have gone on a 5-mile walk around Carisbrooke, Buckham Valley, and are going to finish off having lunch at the 8 Bells. So I will keep this one fairly short. Members had a great time at Warner's, so a huge thank you to Susan, Jasmine and all the volunteers who ensured members had a great time. They would like to do it again, perhaps later in the year, so watch this space. We have some amazing photographs which will be going on our website and social media soon, and it's clear they had a fantastic time. We hope you will receive the mini newsletter with activities happening in May. And if anyone is interested in anything we do, then please get in touch on 01983 522 05. The White Scent staff are fitting in nicely here at Millbrook House, and it is a real pleasure having them here. So it's all good on that front. So I'm just going to finish. As I said, I will keep this short. So on behalf of everyone at Sight for White, I would like to wish you all a very good bank holiday weekend. Thank you, Chris.
2 women arrested over Shanklin murder released without charge from the Island Echo, read by Lee. 2 women arrested on suspicion of murdering a man in his 50s in Shanklin have been released without charge, with no further action to be taken. Investigations into the killing at an address on St John's Road on Monday night continue, with detectives still questioning the prime suspect, a 36-year-old local man. However, a 29-year-old woman and a 52-year-old woman, both from the Isle of Wight, won't be facing any further action. Armed police from both sides of the Solent were deployed to Shanklin shortly after 22:10 hours on Monday, when reports of an altercation were received. Officers found 2 people with injuries inside a terraced house near the junction of Orchardley Road. Despite their best efforts of medical teams, the life of a man in his 50s couldn't be saved. His next of kin have been informed and formal identification procedures are ongoing. The second man at the address, a 36-year-old man, remains in hospital having sustained injuries during an incident. It is understood he suffered stab wounds to the stomach. He remains under police detention on suspicion of murder. A cordon remains at the crime scene and police are expected to be keeping a presence at the address until at least Friday. Superintendent Jim Pegler said, "The investigation into this death remains ongoing and you can expect to see a continued police presence at the scene in St John's Road and the surrounding area as officers conduct their inquiries. I would like to reiterate that we believe this is to be an isolated and contained incident with no wider risk to the public. We thank the local community for their patience while officers continue to carry on their inquiries in the area, and again ask people not to speculate on the circumstances or the identities of those involved. We will endeavour to provide you with further updates on this investigation when we are in a position to do so. If you have any concerns or information relating to this investigation, report this directly to police on 101 quoting 442201629095. Alternatively, you can contact the independent charity Crime Stoppers 100% anonymously on 0800 555 111.
Hello, this is an article read by Sue from Isle of Wight Radio. Buildings could be demolished at Sandown's The Bay CE School. Unused school buildings at the Bay CE Academy could be knocked down as part of a multi-million-pound redevelopment. 3 old blocks at the secondary school site on the Fairway Lake have reached the end of their usable life and may now be demolished. They include the South Block, derelict changing rooms and an unused staff block. A £9 million refurbishment, remodelling and updating the secondary site has been underway in the last year and is expected to be finished in October. The demolition work, if approved, is scheduled to start at the end of May, with the buildings stripped and any asbestos removed before the structures come down. The south block would go first and work would be carried out by the local firm John Peck Construction. The changing rooms and the staff block would come down in early August. Once demolished, grass or tarmac would be laid on the building's footprint. View the plans 22/00676/11BPA on the Council's planning register. Comments can be submitted until May 23rd.
This is an article from the Island Echo, read by Terry. Damage to fencing, not a deliberate act. Laverstock and Ford respond to criticism of fan behaviour. Laverstock and Ford Football Club has defended the behaviour of their fans at Smallbrook Stadium when the perimeter fence was badly damaged on Saturday the 23rd of April. Laverstock Secretary Matthew McMahon claimed that the toppling of the fence was an act of over-exuberance caused by the emotion of the occasion and not a deliberate act of vandalism. He has said that, with hindsight, it should never have happened. Mr. McMahon pointed out that Newport Football Club had been forewarned to expect over 200 supporters from Laverstock. He claimed that it had been the responsibility of the home club to ensure that alcohol was not drunk around the stadium, but that this had happened until a Wessex League official had requested closure of the bar. He said that at Laverstock they had a very strict policy of no alcohol in the stadium. The Laverstock secretary also claimed that Newport fans had set off flares during the game and that it was wrong to blame only one club for any disturbances. He also stated that 2 Newport fans had attempted to storm the Laverstock dressing room after the game, but had been prevented from doing so by Laverstock chairman John Pike. Matthew McMahon said, "Laverstock fans were not blameless. However, there was high spirits and exuberance from both sets of supporters. There was no violence apart from when 2 fans tried to get into our dressing room. We have launched an investigation and will deal with any offenders appropriately. We are more than happy to pay recompense for any damage to the perimeter fence." I would also praise both sets of players for their conduct during the game. We have no issue at all with the players and management of Newport Football Club.
This is Alison, reading an article from On the White entitled "Key Safety Issues Resulted in Catastrophic Engine Failures and a Fire on Whitelink Ferry Investigation Reveals." The investigation has been long and complex, but identified a number of key safety issues. An investigation by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, MAIB, into 2 catastrophic engine failures on a Whitelink ferry has identified a number of key safety issues. A published report details the investigation, which looked into the 2 engine failures on 2 dates in 2018, one resulting in a fire on board White Sky. On the 26th of August 2018, White Sky suffered a catastrophic main engine failure as it prepared to enter the Lymington River on its regular crossing from Yarmouth, Isle of Wight. This was the ferry's 2nd catastrophic main engine failure in less than a year, the failed engine being the replacement for the previous failure that had resulted in a fire and serious injuries to an engineer officer. On the 14th of December 2018, White Sky suffered a 3rd catastrophic engine failure. On this occasion, the failed engine was a new build and had been in operation for just 389 hours. White Sky was one of 3 White-class sister ferries, and following the 3rd engine failure, Whitelink withdrew its White-class ferries from service. Following discussions between the ferry owner, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, MCA, Lloyd's Register, and the engine manufacturer Volvo Penta, a mitigation plan was put in place to enable the ferries to return to service. This investigation found a history of engine failures across the White-class fleet dating back to 2010, and consequently the scope of the investigation expanded to include all known failures. This led to a long and detailed technical investigation that comprised forensic examination and testing of 5 of the failed engines and their components, a full review of the vessel's system design and operation, and the safety management, planned maintenance and condition monitoring procedures, together with manning and technical oversight. In May 2019, the MAIB published an interim report of its initial findings. The key safety issues identified were insufficient technical oversight of the engine's operating parameters, standards of maintenance management and quality control, engine component and auxiliary system design problems, a lack of clear ownership for engine maintenance and engine condition monitoring. Safety recommendations. Whitelink. Ensure competent technical oversight of maintenance on board its vessels through resourced procedures so that technical issues are identified and escalated to senior management as necessary. Volvo Penta AB. Identify all affected D16MH customers to inform and resolve the identified oil filter bypass anomaly. Lloyd's Register. Assess the need to introduce within its rules and regulations the time taken to declutch a main propulsion engine from the drive shaft in the event of an emergency shutdown, to prevent the engine from being driven and increasing the risk of serious injury and damage. RK Marine Limited. Provide its customers with all manufacturers' safety bulletins applicable to the engines in use. Andrew Moll, Chief Inspector of Marine Accidents, said, "This has been a long and complex investigation. Initially focusing on 2 catastrophic engine failures, the investigation found a history of engine failures across Whitelink's fleet of White-class ferries dating back to 2010. Consequently, the scope of the investigation was broadened to include the forensic examination and testing of 5 failed engines and their components, a full review of the vessel's propulsion system design and operation. We also examined the ferry operator's safety management, planned maintenance and condition monitoring procedures, together with the technical oversight provided by the engine manufacturer and its approved service provider. MAIB has worked closely with Whitelink, Volvo Penta AB, Lloyd's Register and the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency over the past 3 years to help ensure that most of the technical issues identified in the investigation report were addressed as soon as practicable. The report contains recommendations aimed at improving the reliability of the propulsion machinery on board the White-class ferries and to reduce the likelihood of future catastrophic engine failures.
New Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner appointed for the region from the Island Echo, read by Lee. The Hampshire Police and Crime Panel has confirmed the appointment of Terry Norton as Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. Mr. Norton takes on the role with immediate effect. Deputy Police Commissioner Terry Norton said, "I am proud to be Hampshire born and bred, having worked as a teacher throughout my career. I am passionate about public service and working with young people. I am committed to reducing the crimes that blight our communities. As a Deputy PCC, I will be supporting the Police and Crime Commissioner in her drive to cut crime and make communities safer. We share the same vision and are both committed to preventing crimes happening and support victims when they do. I am looking forward to serving Hampshire and the Isle of Wight as we deliver the pledge of more police and safer streets. I look forward to engaging with Hampshire and the Isle of Wight's dedicated police officers, staff, volunteers and community leaders." Commissioner Donna Jones adds, "I am pleased to welcome Terry to the team. He will be leading on a number of areas, including the scrutiny of out-of-court disposals, working with health partners to aid the long-term prevention of crime, and representing me at community safety and public meetings of local councils. His knowledge and background will assist me in representing the public and ensuring I am well aware of issues as they emerge in local communities. The PCC has based its decision on the experience of Mr. Norton has of working closely with her public in front-facing roles over the last 5 years. The PCC has chosen an individual who has a strong background in teaching and local government. Through his work in the local government sector, Mr. Norton understands the significance of working closely with public health. Previously, Mr. Norton has supported the PCC with understanding the vulnerabilities of children at risk of offending or being exploited.
Hello, this is an article read by Sue from the Isle of Wight Radio. Council crackdown on parking by Isle of Wight crematorium. A crackdown on parking by the Isle of Wight crematorium in Whippingham is on the cards to prevent heavy goods vehicles being left there for long periods. Station Lane off Lushington Hill is a popular parking spot with dog walkers, cyclists and ramblers who use the former railway line turned cycle path which runs from Newport to Wootton. Visitors to the crematorium also use the road as overflow car parking spaces, should the one at the facility be full. Now, though, the Isle of Wight Council is in the process of reviewing the parking on the left-hand side as you head towards the crematorium through a traffic regulation order. While there are already some yellow lines on the lane towards the crematorium, more are proposed to be introduced at intervals along it to allow unrestricted access to and from the facility. Currently, parking is allowed down the majority of the side, which causes an issue when two vehicles meet on the same side of the road. The Isle of Wight Council says over recent years, unauthorised parking has become a major problem in the lane as heavy vehicles have been left for long periods of time. This has caused considerable issues for large funeral processions, it says, entering and leaving the crematorium, as well as reducing available parking for those attending a service. Should the proposals be approved, only 3 areas along the road will allow limited parking for 2 hours, but with the proposed restriction, you cannot return for 2 hours after that. The proposals, the council say, will provide safe on-street parking places as well as creating passing points for traffic. A council spokesperson said the 2-hour limit will allow plenty of time for those wishing to use the on-street parking to attend a service, as they are currently staggering at 45-minute intervals. Consultation on the proposals finished earlier this month, and the authority will now review the findings before making a final decision. No changes are proposed to the main crematorium car park, which currently has no time limit.
This is an article from the Island Echo, read by Terry. Ventnor man who kicked friend in the head 7 times to be sentenced at Crown Court. 22-year-old Bailey Smith is to be sentenced at the Crown Court after pleading guilty to a prolonged attack in which he kicked another man in the head some 7 times. The Isle of Wight Magistrates Court heard on Tuesday that Smith, formerly of Lowtherville Road in Ventnor, had violently assaulted a friend whilst on a night out in Ventnor on 14th of March this year. He appeared in court charged with wounding, inflicting grievous bodily harm without intent, 2 counts of criminal damage, assault by beating and using threatening, abusive words or behaviour to cause harassment, alarm or distress. Anne Smout, prosecuting, explained that Smith and 2 friends were enjoying a night out when he became aggressive, leading to his friends, one of whom is a former partner, leaving. However, Smith followed the pair. Whilst outside Ventnor Post Office in the High Street, Bailey swung a plastic bag containing an unknown object or objects, which smashed the window to the shop. A short time later, Smith pushed a Miss Archer into the road, He then proceeded to punch a Mr. Taylor in the face, sending him to the floor. The victim was then kicked in the head up to 7 times, losing a front tooth as a result. The court also heard that whilst on bail, Smith caused criminal damage to Miss Archer's front door on the 3rd of April. This led to him being remanded. Amy Hosell, defending, said her client, who suffers from ADHD and Asperger's, is not totally clear of the events of the night as he was drunk. Magistrates decided the matter, described as a prolonged attack, was to be sent to the Crown Court for sentencing on the 12th of May. Smith was remanded in custody.
This is Alison reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio entitled Man Arrested Following Shop Door Smash in Newport. A man has been arrested on suspicion of burglary after a shop door was smashed in Newport on Sunday. Central convenience stores on the High Street was targeted shortly before midnight. The shop remains closed as of Monday. A bottle of alcohol is believed to have been taken from the store. A 22-year-old man from East Cowes has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and released on police bail. A spokesperson for Hampshire Constabulary said, "We were called at 11:40 p.m. yesterday, Sunday the 24th of April, to a report of a burglary at Central Stores on the High Street in Newport. A door at the front of the store was smashed. At this time, it is believed a bottle of alcohol was stolen. A man aged 22 from East Cowes has been arrested on suspicion of burglary. He has been released on police bail while enquiries continue."
The name is HMS Bond, the Isle of Wight's newest and quirkiest place to stay, from the Island Echo, read by Lee. A submarine replica, originally used in the James Bond film The World Is Not Enough, has been transformed into quirky accommodation at a campus site on the Isle of Wight. HMS Bond is a copy of a Soviet Victor III class nuclear-powered submarine and is now available for hire at Windmill campsite near Carisbrooke Castle. The family-run site is already one of the quirkiest glamping sites in the UK, and the new sub puts the island firmly on the map for one-off experiences. Complementing their Falklands helicopter, shepherd's huts, a dairy cottage and a split-screen VW camper. The teardrop-shaped submarine has cost around £40,000 to convert into accommodation. It features 2 double beds and a single bunk, sleeping 5 people. Like the real submarine, it has little headroom but loads of character and is equipped with trapdoors, ladders and an interactive dashboard and a periscope. Rhys Dungy co-runs the site with Dad Stu. He says, "Every year we like to add something new or improve our site, and we decided that a submarine would be the perfect partner to the infamous Galahad, our Westland Wessex helicopter. I scoured the web in search of a suitable submarine, and after many months I located what we would finally name HMS Bond. The final design is down to Stu and his creative flair, with ideas often coming to him in the middle of the night, and purchases on eBay to finish HMS Bond with authentic details, which Windmill campsite is known for. We're looking forward to welcoming visitors over from the mainland as well as islanders to our unique site. The renovation took place over the winter months of 21-22. The team at Windmill campsite stripped out galvanised buoyancy tanks, miles of hydraulic hoses and an ingenious feature which enabled the huge replica to float and drive in the film. The team then worked with Kingswell Heavy Haulage to move the submarine to the site. Once in situ, the team worked night and day to complete the conversion for launch this spring. This involved adding a mobile container now named The Dock, which houses the canteen and washing facilities, including a well-equipped kitchen, shower, toilet, eating area and doors out to the patio. HMS Bond is available to book director of Windmill Campsite, with prices starting at £450 for 4 nights in low season.
Hello, this is an article from Isle of Wight Radio, read by Sue. KFC Newport closes for refurbishment works. KFC in Newport has closed for refurbishment and won't be reopening until next month, May. The fast food restaurant based at Furlongs is undergoing an upgrade. A KFC spokesman said, "Fear not, fried chicken fans of Newport. We're just giving our restaurant a little TLC, and we'll be back at the Friars in a shiny new coupe mid-May." In the meantime, the nearest KFC can be found in Lake.
This is Alison, reading an article from the Island Echo entitled "Man Caught Carrying Knuckle Duster in His Trousers Sentenced at Court." A man who was caught carrying a knuckle duster in his trousers for his own protection has been sentenced at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court this week. 45-year-old Brian Bailey, previously of Clatterford Road in Newport, pleaded guilty to possessing an offensive weapon when he appeared before the court on Tuesday. Anne Smout, prosecuting, explained that police located a metal knuckle duster in Bailey's trousers whilst he was being searched for unrelated matters. It's known that Bailey was due to appear in court on the 22nd of February in relation to the possession of a Class B drug, cannabis, but he failed to show. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and it was on the 22nd of March that he was detained in Union Street Ryde. Bailey, representing himself, told the court he was carrying the weapon for his own protection as he was being abused in the street over a recent criminal investigation dating back to June last year. Magistrates fined Brian Bailey £120 and ordered him to pay £85 costs with a £35 surcharge. The weapon was ordered to be seized and destroyed.
This is an article from the Island Echo, read by Terry. New lifeguard station proposed for Sandown Beach ahead of busy summer season. A new base is proposed for lifeguards on the beach at Sandown after storm damage, the COVID pandemic and a collapsible gazebo previously caused issues for the lifesavers. Sandown Town Council is proposing to install the new lifeguard station on the Esplanade Beach between Avenue Road Slipway and Sandown Pier. It will be made out of a converted shipping container and located close to where the previous lifeguard station once stood. The old station was damaged by storms at the start of 2020, and as a result of COVID, the RNLI withdrew its beach safety service later that year. The damaged structure was removed in 2021 and the site has been empty ever since. Now, ahead of the summer season, the Town Council is looking to provide a permanent base for the lifeguards after they were left running the service from a collapsible gazebo. Last summer, nearly 30,000 visitors were estimated to have gone to Sandown Beach, with the lifeguards carrying out more than 500 safety actions, including saving 2 lives. However, having to operate from a gazebo meant the lifesavers encountered significant issues like limited visibility and poor shelter for staff and those needing first aid. The new structure will be a place to store equipment while allowing a clear view of the beach and providing an effective shelter for staff to assist visitors. It is proposed the station be manned from 11 to 1800 hours every day throughout the summer season. Todd Miller, beach manager for Ryde Beach Lifeguards, who have the contract with Sandown Town Council, has said, "I am so pleased that the service is receiving such great support. It will make a huge difference to the beach lifeguards and yet again improve the quality of service we are able to offer to the public, which we strive to improve upon year on year." The service now provides training and employment to 11 local people throughout the summer months, as well as providing training for hundreds of lifeguards across the south each year. We will keep our fingers crossed for some nice weather this summer so we can all safely enjoy our beautiful beaches. During the winter, the container will be removed due to the adverse weather conditions experienced on the esplanade. The structure would, though, be able to withstand hurricane-force winds and waves during stormy weather. The container will have a vandal-proof shutter, changing room and observation platform, and will be painted in the recognisable lifeguard yellow. You can view the plans 22/00591/FUL in capitals on the Council's planning register. Comments can be submitted until the 23rd of May.
Hello, this is an article from Isle of Wight Radio, read by Sue. Fire service and emergency vehicles in freshwater to aid cow stuck in mud. Fire crews and emergency vehicles have been sent to freshwater to assist with a cow which has become stuck in mud. Crews from Newport and Freshwater have been joined along Victoria Road by a Land Rover and a rescue vehicle after receiving a call shortly after 2 p.m. A spokesman for the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire Service said, "We are currently on scene at an animal rescue in Freshwater, having received the initial report at 2:19 p.m. today. We remain at the scene on Victoria Road at this time."
This is Alison, reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio entitled Woman Arrested After Aggressive Behaviour on Whitelink Ferry. A 61-year-old woman has been arrested and released under investigation following a public order incident on a Whitelink ferry. It's alleged a woman made her way onto the Victoria of Wight ferry without a ticket and became aggressive and abusive. Hampshire Constabulary says it was called to Gunwharf Quays at 11:26 a.m. A 61-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of using threatening or abusive words or behaviour likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress. She has since been released under investigation. Earlier, Whitelink said a medical incident on board was causing delays of up to an hour. A spokesman for the ferry firm said, "We can confirm there was a medical emergency on board Victoria of Wight this morning. It has unfortunately caused some delays to services between Portsmouth and Fishbourne. We apologise for any inconvenience caused to customers." A further update reports says police say the woman involved has now been dealt with by means of community resolution, and the investigation has now concluded.
This is an article from On the Wight, read by Terry. Updated edition of bestseller Isle and Empires, Romanov, Russia, Britain and the Isle of Wight. The book is now available in paperback and timelier than ever, with Anglo-Russian relations strained to the hilt. With Putin's invasion of Ukraine straining Anglo-Russian relations to the hilt, the reprint Isle and Empires, Romanov, Russia, Britain and the Isle of Wight couldn't come at a timelier juncture. The book, now in paperback with a new preface from author Stefan Roman, reflecting current events, gives fascinating insight into the historic relationship between the two countries and the intriguing role the Isle of Wight plays in the story. In the new preface, Roman notes, "As a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it is more important than ever to understand the way in which history has shaped the world in which we now live. This second edition of my book, with its insights into the complex relationship between Imperial Russia and the British Empire, demonstrates that the events of the past continue to echo in powerful and disturbing ways." At the heart of the book is the 1909 visit of Tsar Nicholas II, and the imperial family to the Isle of Wight for Cowes Week, the most glamorous yachting regatta in Europe. At the time, this seemed to presage a new era of Anglo-Russian relations, but less than 10 years later the Romanovs were overthrown in the October Revolution and executed by the Bolsheviks in Yekaterinburg. Roman's book also relates how a century later the killing of the Tsar and his family was marked by the unveiling of a memorial to the Romanovs in Jubilee Park, on a hill overlooking East Cowes. The remarkable links between the Isle of Wight and Russia extend much further than these two incidents, 100 years apart. The island's strong seafaring tradition led Peter the Great recruiting Cowes-based shipwright Joseph Nye when he wanted to rebuild his fleet and transform Russia into a major maritime power in the late 17th century. The two men became good friends, with the Englishman appointed Captain Commodore, giving him noble status. On Peter's death, Nye played a prominent role in the Tsar's funeral procession. The Isle of Wight's Russian links weren't purely royal. Some half a century before Nicholas II visited Cowes and Osborne House, the favourite residence of Queen Victoria on the north of the island, Ventnor on the south coast was home to a coterie of Russian radicals. Among them was writer Ivan Turgenev, who began penning his novel Fathers and Sons while living in the seaside resort in 1860. Roman's book, however, begins on a more poignant and personal note. It recounts how, in the immediate aftermath of the October Revolution, his own family were refugees awaiting their fate on the banks of the Dniester River, having fled from Moscow through Ukraine to Moldova. Isle and Empires, Romanov, Russia, Britain and the Isle of Wight is available on all major e-book platforms. Copies can be ordered from Isle and Empires in brackets 2022 paperback edition, close brackets, Medina Publishing Limited on the UK, and from Casemate IPM in the US.
Yeah, good morning, it's Paul reading the Talking News today.
With Pauline.
I'm going to start the second part of the Talking News with this week's Society News. Swimming will not be on this Monday the 2nd of May due to the bank holiday, but we will resume next week the 9th of May. The group are looking for more members to join them at Medina Leisure Centre every Monday between 1:30 and 2:30 p.m. The group has full use of the pool and the cost is only £5. God's Hill Coffee Mornings on Tuesday at the Old Smithy Tea Room in God's Hill between 10:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. Please pop along and meet our wonderful volunteers Yvonne and Linda for a coffee and a chat with other members and friends of the charity. Coffee and Chat is on every Wednesday at Millbrook House 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Only £1 for cake and coffee. Please come along for a chat and members of staff will be there for any assistance with equipment and or information. Our Mix and Mingle group is on Thursday at Millbrook House between 10:30 and 2 p.m. The group enjoys a variety of activities. The charity has the next fundraising meeting on Tuesday 2nd of May at Millbrook House starting at 10 a.m. If anyone would like to join the small committee, they will be very welcome. Please come along, you will make to feel at home. May's Lunch Club is on the 10th of May at the Hare and Hounds, Down End, Arrington at 12:30 p.m. This is open to all members, volunteers and friends, so if you would like to come along, please call the office before Friday the 5th of May so we can book tables. Our new group, the Millbrook Millers, or Milers, beg your pardon, is on Friday the 13th of May. If you are interested in this new social group, please call the office for more details. Details of location will be announced later in the week. Horse riding is next Monday the 9th of May at the Island Riding Stables, Newport. The cost is £15. Our plans for the Jubilee Party on the 26th of May are well underway. We still have spaces left. It is at the First Newport Scout Hall in Newport between 2 and 4:30 p.m. If you would like to join us for afternoon tea and entertainment, please call the office and book a space. If any of the activities mentioned appeal to you, please do not hesitate to call the office for a chat. We would love to hear from you and encourage all members to come along to these wonderful sociable groups. Members, volunteers and staff have just returned from a break at Warner's Leisure Hotel in Yarmouth. Well, they all had a wonderful time and thoroughly enjoyed all the activities on offer. If you fancy a short break, we are hoping to offer another one in the autumn, and more details will follow, so watch this space. Following representations from the members' forum, the additional news will come firstly and the letters will be at item 6.
Ryde Housing Scheme is back on the table. 16 months after a housing scheme on the outskirts of Ryde was proposed, it has come back before planners for a third time. In the latest set of revisions for plans for up to 50 homes on Puckpool Hill, changes include the provision of affordable housing and properties suitable for older people. The outline plans were first submitted by RJB SIBA Trust in November 2020, but have gone through a third round of changes after the Isle of Wight Council raised a number of concerns. In a letter to the authority from planning agents Tetra Tech, it says the revised master plan has sought to address the majority of concerns. The changes include revised vehicle access, houses moved away from the entrance to soften the impact of development on Puckpool Hill, garages moved closer to houses, larger front gardens, houses moved away from the road to make way for a tree-lined avenue, development moved away from the southern boundary to create a greater buffer, as well as respecting the dark corridor for bats, housing mix adjusted to ensure 20% are suitable for older people and that 35% of housing is affordable. Previously, the housing was a range of 2 to 5 bed houses, but it's now been changed to include a range of flats, 6, chalet bungalows, some, and houses, 16 2-bed, 18 3-bed, 7 4-bed and 2 5-bed, to make up the 50 dwellings. Tetra Tech says the amendments result in a more spacious, verdant development in keeping with the local area. Nettleston Seaview Parish Council, however, has maintained its objection and said the development would cause a loss of valuable green space, the loss of wildlife habitats, and be an overdevelopment of the community. While illustrations have been submitted to the Isle of Wight County Council, they're only for illustrative purposes, and the final layout, scale, appearance and landscaping of the development will be decided at a later date.
Air ambulance in Wootton. The Hampshire and Isle of Wight air ambulance landed at Wootton Recreation Ground on Monday evenings around 8:30 p.m. They were called out to a suspected heart attack for a resident in Rectory Drive. The helicopter spent almost 2 hours on the ground before 2 paramedics took off with the patient, heading for Southampton General Hospital.
Recycling scheme for your old batteries. The Isle of Wight Council is inviting residents to make a positive difference to the environment by using its new household battery recycling scheme. From Monday, May the 2nd, householders can leave their spent household batteries out for collection with their general waste. All batteries collected by the crews will be sent for sorting and processing. Metals and chemicals will be extracted and used to make new batteries and other products. Batteries should be placed safely and separately on top of your closed black bin or gull-proof sack in a clear sandwich-size bag. Small batteries of all shapes can be recycled, including old rechargeable household batteries. They must be removed from electrical items before being collected. Large batteries such as laptop, phone, power tool batteries and car batteries should be taken to your nearest household waste recycling centre. Councillor Jonathan Bacon, Cabinet Lead for Environment and Waste Management, said, "In partnership with our waste operator, Amy Waste Treatment, I'm pleased to announce our new battery collection service. This will make it easier for people to dispose of them responsibly at the curbside on Waste Collection Day and make even more of a positive difference to our environment."
Repairs needed to Old Town Hall. Work is proposed to save the Grade 2 listed Newtown Old Town Hall, which has suffered significant movement in the last few years. An application from the National Trust to the Isle of Wight Council is seeking to strengthen and stabilise the structure of the historic building through 5 phases of work. A town hall existed on the site since the 13th century, but the one we see today was mainly built around 1699 from brick and stone, with 18th century alterations made to it. Now the hall is open as a visitor attraction, but it used to be an official building for the town when it was represented by 2 members of Parliament. After losing its right to have elected members, the town hall was left to ruin until it was saved in 1933 by the mysterious Ferguson's gang, a group of young women who wore masks and used fake names whose aim was to preserve examples of traditional England. The building was then given to the National Trust. More recently, papers submitted by the National Trust say the significant movement of the Old Town Hall is largely attributed to the physical nature of the subsoil. It is most evident in the north-east corner, where open cracking is visibly internally and externally. There has also been some internal ceiling collapses that require attention. The documents say the proposals are considered to cause less than substantial harm to their heritage assets, and the public benefit of retaining and stabilising the Old Town Hall in a structurally sound condition outweighs the limited harm. The 5 phases include anchors drilled into bricks, installing an internal steel brace to prop up the chimney stack and underpinning at the northern end of the building. The Trust hopes the work will ensure future movement is reduced and lessen the risk of further damage or ultimately collapse of the important historical property.
Jenny's in the USA representing the UK. Freshwater Bay resident Jenny Cartwright has made the England ladies shooting team to represent the country at this year's World Championships in America. After several years of attending clay pigeon selection shoots the length and breadth of the country, she's finally achieved her goal. Jenny, speaking in the Freshwater Bay Residents Association newsletter, said, "All those miles and all that practice is worthwhile now, and achieving my first cap is a special moment in my shooting career. I'm the second person in our family to get a cap. My great-grandfather W.H. Taylor played rugby union for England back in 1908. Jenny travelled to San Antonio, Texas earlier this month to shoot in the World Sporting Championships at the USA National Shooting Centre with 14 other English competitors. In the meantime, she's been working hard to be at her best for the competition, which will take place over 3 days. She added, "Making the team is definitely something off my bucket list. There are only 3 ladies in the team, so competition is fierce for the space. I've shot in America before, and it's a truly great experience."
Energy bill rebates. The first round of payments in response to the government's energy bills rebate scheme was made to local residents yesterday, Thursday. The £150 payment has started going out to those eligible to benefit from the scheme, designed to help households in council tax bands A to D. In most cases, the rebate will go directly into bank accounts of those paying council tax by direct debit. Councillor Chris Jarman, Cabinet Member for Strategic Finances, said payments will be made in batches each week until all direct debit cases have been paid. Therefore, please do not worry if you have not received a payment straight away. The Council will shortly be writing to those who do not pay by direct debit with further information about how to claim a rebate. Please do not contact us to find out when you receive your payment, as this will mean the payments take longer to be sent out. Further details of the discretionary scheme for those not eligible for the mandatory scheme will be issued in due course.
Newport in top 10 towns to live in. Newport has made it into a top 10 best places to live in 2022. A property finding firm ranks the town among its places to be when it comes to buildings, quality of life, surroundings, and how environmentally friendly the area is. Newport also scores high for affordability, with the average price of a family home costing less than £350,000. It meant the town was placed third among more than 60 locations in its price bracket. Research by Garrington says COVID-19 saw us reassessing how we live, and a significant shift was recorded by its Places to Live Index. Only 7 of the top 20 locations of 2021 remain there for 2022, with Newport sneaking in at 10 this year. The south of England fares best, with Bath, Somerset retaining the top spot, and Lyme Regis, Dorset, Salisbury and Wilton in Wiltshire, Fowey in Cornwall and Folkestone in Kent all winning the top 10 places. Newport's architectural beauty and green credentials gives it a significant boost, according to the property firm.
GKN apprentices raise funds for family room. Apprentices working at GKN's Aerospace East Cow site have walked and baked in support to the NHS, raising £4,565 for St Mary's Hospital. In addition to their aerospace training, GKN Aerospace apprentices are encouraged to undertake charity projects. The latest intake of apprentices went the extra mile, completing a sponsored walk, arranging a cake sale and holding a raffle to help redecorate and refurbish the relatives room for the intensive care unit at St Mary's Hospital over the coming months. Kev Downer, apprentice manager, said, "We felt this would be a great opportunity to acknowledge all the hard work carried out by NHS staff during the COVID pandemic, as well as enhancing the environment for families whilst waiting for news on their relatives. I would like to thank all the apprentices for their hard work with this project and everyone who has contributed and supported them throughout." Becky Craig, ICU sister at St Mary's Hospital, said, "We are very thankful and grateful to the GKN Aerospace apprentices for choosing to fund, raise and support the ICU. With their help and support, we'll be able to improve our current relatives room and offer family and friends of critically ill patients a calming and safe environment for them to take 5 minutes, relax and recharge in what is a very worrying and difficult time. We are also hoping to offer a comfortable bed for them to be able to stay near their loved ones overnight while being able to rest. The relatives room becomes an essential space for anyone who finds themselves being a loved one of a critically ill patient. This space will really make a difference for our relatives."
An injured badger cub is being cared for by RSPCA Isle of Wight. The lone cub was discovered curled up next to a footpath in Bryston by local couple Rob and Annette Hickman. While out walking our dogs, we spotted the tiny badger, which looked like it was in trouble. "We could see it was bleeding and appeared very scared," said Annette. We made contact with the Isle of Wight Badger Trust for advice, and luckily they were able to come out immediately to assess it. Graham Lee from the Isle of Wight Badger Trust found the cub had a puncture wound to the head which needed attention. After treatment by Green, Roberts and Butler, the Carisbrooke vets, it was taken to RSPCA Isle of Wight's God's Hill Centre while it recovers. Graham said it is really important that people keep a lookout while walking in the countryside and contact us if they see a badger cub on its own. Please don't attempt to pick up a badger cub. They are wild animals, so it is best left to the experts.
What next for former school? What should be done with the former St Mary's Convent School in Ryde? That is the question being asked by the Roman Catholic Diocese of Portsmouth in the consultation survey. The diocese is considering options for the Vatican former convent school and former parish school alongside St Mary's Church in Ryde on High Street. It has been assisted by the Ryde High Street Heritage Action Zone, which considers it a priority for the town. The diocese has commissioned Thomas Ford and Partners, specialist conservation architects, to prepare an options appraisal for the site, and Thomas Ford and Partners have engaged a destination consulting team of Colliers business planners to help explore options. Members of the public are asked to give their views in a short survey that should only take up to 10 minutes to complete. The diocese is especially interested in hearing from any individuals or companies that may be interested in using the property in some way once it is refurbished.
Road ban for drug driver. A Newport man told his level of driving was horrendous following his latest motoring offence, has been banned from the road for a year. Thomas Phillips of Furlongs appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates last Friday. The 23-year-old admitted drug driving in Newport on January the 23rd. Magistrates told Phillips his level of driving had been horrendous and it would be an expensive lesson to learn. He was fined £352 and must pay costs of £85 and a £35 surcharge.
Chisel assault. A woman who assaulted another woman with a chisel has been convicted. Megan Durham of Osborne Road in Shanklin left the 41-year-old victim with injuries to her head and leg at the assault on Atherley Road. Police were called to the scene at 10:40pm on November the 22nd, 2021, and officers arrested 23-year-old Durham. Bournemouth Crown Court heard on Wednesday how the victim sustained 3 stab injuries to her scalp and 1 to her forehead before Durham bit her on the thigh. Durham admitted causing grievous bodily harm without intent at the hearing. She was remanded in custody to appear at the same court on May the 25th for sentencing.
And a Knighton woman in court accused of causing motorcyclist's death. An Island woman appeared before magistrates to face an accusation she caused the death of a motorcyclist and seriously injured his pillion passenger. Daisy Parsons of Chatfield Road, Knighton, faced a charge of causing the death of Gordon John Endler by driving a mechanically propelled vehicle, namely a Volkswagen Transporter, carelessly or inconsiderately. The crash happened on the Newport Road, Whitwell, on July the 1st, 2020. Mr Endler's pillion passenger, Jacqueline Stewart, suffered serious injuries, including a cardiac arrest at the scene, and was transferred to Southampton General Hospital and placed into an induced coma. The 42-year-old was bailed to reappear for a plea and trial management hearing at the Isle of Wight Crown Court on June the 6th. No plea has yet been entered.
A new lifeguard base proposed for Sandown. A new lifeguard base is planned by Sandown Town Council on the town's Esplanade Beach. It will be a converted shipping container close to where the previous lifeguard station was, which was damaged by storms early in 2020. The RNI withdrew its safety beach service later that year due to COVID, and the damaged structure was removed in 2021. Now ahead of the summer season, the Town Council wants to provide a permanent base for the lifeguards after they were left running the service from a collapsible gazebo, which raised issues such as limited visibility and poor shelter for staff and those needing help. Last summer, nearly 30,000 people were estimated to have visited Sandown Beach, with the lifeguards carrying out more than 500 safety actions, including saving 2 lives. It is proposed the station will be manned from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day throughout the summer. It will be slightly to the left of the old one to leave the stairs to the beach clear, which was previously an issue. The container will have a vandal-proof shutter changing room and observation platform, painted in a recognisable lifeguard yellow, and will be removed over the winter.
Police were called to the Division 1 playoff final between Newport and Laverstock and Ford after fans clashed on Saturday. Flares were set off by both sets of supporters and fencing around the speedway track at Smallbrook was damaged as fans scuffled between themselves. The Wessex League has announced an inquiry will be launched into the proceedings.
Ryde Boy runs his first half marathon. Ross Home from Ryde finished his first half marathon in a 1 hour 30 minutes in Southampton on Sunday, raising money for local charity the White Brainy Bunch. Ross has been running for 4 years with the Wootton Bridge Runners. The 17-year-old Brockenhurst College student fits his training runs in during evenings and weekends, following a plan to gain strength and pace. Finishing as 34th overall first Island runner with a personal best by over 30 minutes, Ross exceeded his expectations. He said, "I liked the course, I felt comfortable and kept to the pace I was hoping to. As a Saints fan, I've always wanted to run through St Mary's Stadium, and today I got to do that and achieve positions I didn't expect to."
Follow summer beach dog controls or face a fine. The island has some of the country's most beautiful beaches and most are dog friendly. However, during the summer season, some of our beaches are off limits or restricted to dogs between May the 1st to September the 30th. you could receive a £100 fine or up to £1,000 if prosecuted if caught with your dog in a restricted area during this time. Councillor Jonathan Bacon, the Isle of Wight Council's Cabinet Lead for Waste, Environment and Heritage, said, "Our public space protection orders are there to ensure everyone can enjoy our parks and spaces. It means owners must clear up after their dogs. You can use any public bin and not just dog-specific bins, and keep your dog under control and abide by restrictions in place. Most dog owners are responsible people, but we all know of or have seen some owners who don't control their dogs and have no respect for others. The orders make sure we can deal with the few who don't act responsibly. There are plenty of beaches which welcome dogs all year round. A list of the restricted beaches are on the council's website."
Electric cargo bikes will be used for internal mail runs in a 2-month pilot scheme by the Isle of Wight Council. The council has approached people-powered community interest company CIC to start the pilot project this month, and will see the company delivering internal mail runs between council sites across the island. Councillor Phil Jordan, Cabinet Lead for Infrastructure and Transport, said, "We are committed to reducing our carbon footprint, and we've decided to implement a trial to see how beneficial this could be in delivering not only our mail but our net carbon aims." E-cargo bikes are becoming increasingly popular for last mile deliveries, and this pilot scheme will allow us to evaluate the opportunities these offer the council by replacing the post-room fuel-driven vehicles and in turn reducing half on emissions. People-powered CIC Director Matthew Whitaker said, "We are delighted to be working with the council to look at ways in which the CO2 emissions from their fleet can be reduced further in a cost-effective manner."
One woman, 3 days and a massive challenge. Emily King is one of the UK's most successful paddleboard athletes, and from May the 3rd to the 11th she will be on the island waiting for a weather window to complete one of her most ambitious adventures yet. Over 3 consecutive days, Emily will be completing the King's Challenge, covering more than 120 miles, that's 200 kilometres, circumnavigating the island twice, once by paddleboard and once by bike, before running a marathon across the island on the 3rd day. After a vicious dog attack left her with PTSD and agoraphobia, Emily found refuge in paddleboarding. 3 years after the attack, Emily left her old life behind and moved to Wales. She said, "I felt that I had to get away. Having a massive fear of being outside and being near dogs, I was recommended surfing because dogs don't really go out into the waves. When she didn't click with surfing, Emily moved on to paddleboarding." Emily will be using her challenge to raise funds for the Isle of Wight Youth Trust. She said it's massively important to have support and know that you can reach out and that there are people there who will help you whatever your situation. "This is my way of giving back. The island has been really kind to me over the years." While circumnavigating the island, Emily will be accompanied by island-based endurance SUP athlete and mental health advocate Charlie Head, who, if conditions allow, will go on to complete a double circumnavigation of the island. On the bike ride and the run, Emily will be supported by other local athletes. Emily aims to raise £2,500 for the Isle of Wight Youth Trust.
Fire in Woods. Firefighters were called to Woodland Fire in Ryde earlier on Wednesday morning. A crew from Ryde Fire Station was called to an unattended bonfire on Salters Road shortly after 7 a.m. The 4 metres by 10 metres of fire appeared to be out but continued to smoulder before firefighters dampened it down using a hose reel. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service left the scene at 7:24 a.m.
Pair jailed for cruel £13 million crime that ripped off former minor. An island man has told how his dreams of spending his retirement in Spain and leaving money for his children were dashed when he was sucked into a scam. Stephen O'Reilly, 61, was a Doncaster-based miner for 14 years and now lives on the island working as a bookmaker to support himself. Around 9 years ago, he transferred £114,000 after being told he was getting a bad deal on his current pension. He told PA News Agency he believed the advice had come from an independent government pension advisor and it was not until he came to claim his pension that he found out it had been a scam. Last Friday, Alan Barrett, 62, of Hawthorne, Essex, and Susan Dalton, 66, of Rochdale, Lancashire, were jailed at Southwark Crown Court for their roles in a £13.7 million scam in which 245 victims were defrauded. Mr. O'Reilly had been expecting a lump sum of cash and had ordered a car. He was left desperately trying to find money to pay for it and had to borrow from his mother. He said, "They've ruined my life. I'm just depressed all the time because I know I'm going to have to work the rest of my life because there's no money there. I was going to move to Spain, but I can't now because I haven't got any money to move in the first place. I would have to get a job and have enough money to fund myself while I'm finding one. I averaged probably 80 hours a week and I was putting a lot more money into my pension than anybody else that was there, and now it's all gone."
Public voice their anger for proposed quarry in Wootton. As the public voices their opposition to the proposed quarry at Palmer's Farm in Wootton, anger grows, as do the objections to the proposed plans. The concerns of residents regarding plans to extract almost 1 million tonnes of aggregate by strip mining land have been ignored, say members of Wage, Wootton, Whippingham and Arroton against gravel extraction. Although the planned application states gravel tracks will not meet each other along Brox Copse Road or Alveston Road, there is no mention of other lorries, vans and farm vehicles on the road, or the safety risks to horse riders, walkers and cyclists. A proposed reduction in the speed limit, Wage says, wouldn't remove the risk due to the limited width of the roads. Residents have highlighted that the planned quarry site is situated next to a designated site of special scientific interest, SSSI, an ancient woodland and a site of importance for nature conservation. It claims similar proposals to relocate protected species to new habitats have ended in disaster. A spokesman from Wage said, "We were dumbfounded by White Buildings Materials' recent press statement claiming measures had addressed the issues raised locally regarding site traffic. The proposed route for HGVs and the potential environmental impact of the development. White Building Materials acknowledged there will be water runoff into King's Quay, which is a designated Ramsar site, a wetland area of international importance for birds, where seals and sea eagles have been spotted. This could potentially have an impact on the wildlife, as land in the area contains zinc, lead and arsenic, which will wash down into the quay, along with oil, diesel and other pollutants." Councillor Dale Pitcher said, "We cannot understand why a full independent environmental impact assessment has not been carried out. I will be calling on the Isle of Wight Council to request this immediately, considering the impact on the Isle of Wight's UNESCO biosphere status. A survey carried out by Isle of Wight Council in 2010 found that Palmer's Farm will be among the least favourable sites for gravel extraction on the island."
Memories, and it's a series of commemorative events to mark Blyskavika's heroic efforts. Next week marks the 80th anniversary of the defence of Cowes and East Cowes by the Polish destroyer ORP Blyskavika. Annually, the Friends of the ORP Blyskavika hold a ceremony on Cowes Parade to mark the date of the Second World War Blitz, which took place on the evening of May 4th and 5th, 1942, when 2 waves of Luftwaffe bombers attacked the strategic ports, which were a vital manufacturing area towards the Second World War effort. The personal tragic losses at that time were significant. ORP Blyskavika, along with her sister ship ORP Goran, were built in the local shipyard of JS White's and were the world's fastest destroyers when launched. Blyskavika achieving 41.5 knots at her peak. Today, Blyskavika lies in the port of Gdynia, Poland, where she's an immaculately preserved floating museum, which has received more than 7 million visitors. The ship is the pride of Poland's maritime history. The defence of Cowes by Blyskavika was brought about by the ship being in port for rearmament. enabling her to defend our island towns throughout the night of the raid. The Friends of the ORP Blyskavika, Society of Cows-based organisation, aims to make the 80th anniversary an important event over a period of 5 days, starting on Wednesday evening, May the 4th, until next Sunday, May the 8th. The Polish government has taken great interest in this anniversary event, and members of the society met with Poland's ambassador to Great Britain at the embassy, where they were offered liaison and support for the forthcoming commemoration. However, due to the situation in the Ukraine and the refugee exodus into Poland, the Polish Ministry of Defence regrets that the Polish Naval Band will not be able to attend the 80th commemoration. For more information, see the website. Stop. It's got a website.
Yeah.
Do you want that in? Sorry, normally we take it out.
Yeah, no, better leave it in.
Sorry, I'm not being sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Go on.
For more information, see the website www.blyskavika-cows.org.uk.
Summary of key events. Tomorrow, Saturday until Monday, May the 2nd, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. East Cows Town Hall exhibition about ORP's Blyskavika, also Saturday, May the 7th until 6 p.m, organised by East Cows Heritage Centre. Wednesday, May the 4th, East Cows Town Hall, 7 o'clock, Blitz talk and film Voices of the East Cows Blitz, organised by East Cows Heritage Centre. Thursday, May the 5th, between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m, arrival of Polish naval vessel ORP Woodnik at Cowes Road. The Royal Yacht Squadron will greet the Polish warship with a 5-gun salute. 2 p.m, plaque unveiling in King's Square adjacent to Waitrose, East Cowes, 2:30 p.m. Guided blitz walk from King's Square to Kingston Cemetery, 4 p.m. Memorial service at Kingston Cemetery. 6 p.m, by invitation, welcome reception by Brigadier Maurice Sheen, Vice Lord Lieutenant of the Isle of Wight. 7:30 p.m, gala piano recital at the Royal Yacht Squadron by Eva Maria Doroskowska, excuse my pronunciation, granddaughter of Captain Frankie, commander of the QRP Blyskavika on the night of the Blitz on Cowes in May 1942. Eva will be performing to commemorate the defence of Cowes and East Cowes. After the piano recital, the RYS will fire a 5-gun salute, and the Polish ship will fire white flares to commemorate the anniversary. Online booking for the recital and optional supper at www.ticketsource.co.uk/island concerts. Friday, May the 6th, 7:30 p.m, East Cowes Town Hall. Concert Never Forgotten Polish and English Music by Katie Carr and Medina Marching Band in support of the Ukraine refugees in Poland. Award-winning singer and songwriter Katie Carr will perform Polish and English music. A musician, aviator and multi-instrumentalist, piano, ukulele, banjo and vintage keyboards, she has performed her music internationally with live concert and tours, workshops through the UK and the continent. Medina Marching Band needs no introduction in East Cowes, where it was originally formed. The band will be performing to cover many genres of music, from military marches, wind band music to stage show and pop tunes. Online booking for the concert at www.ticketsource.co.uk/island concerts. Saturday, May the 7th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m, East Cowes Town Hall exhibition on the Blitz, school art and stalls, refreshments available. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m, Northwood Cemetery Cowes exhibition on the Blitz. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m, King's Square adjacent to Waitrose, East Cowes, performances by local groups Little Car Party and Karolinka Dancers, Polish Food Market. 2:30 p.m, Cowes Blitz Walk from the War Memorial at Northwood Park to Northwood Cemetery, approximately 1 hour. 4 p.m, Northwood Cemetery Cowes. rededication ceremony of the refurbished communal war grave, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. 1940s dance at East Cowes Town Hall, period dress encouraged. Tickets £5, available from the Heritage Centre, Flicks Hairdressers, East Cowes, or on the door. Sunday, May the 8th, 12 noon short remembrance ceremony at Frankie Place, Cowes. 1:30 p.m. Cowes Parade commemoration. 80th anniversary of ceremony of the defences of Cowes and East Cowes. Inauguration of the new Consulate of the Republic of Poland in the presence of Poland's UK ambassador. The Royal British Legion Band will play too. The Friends of the ORP Bajskowice Society in organising this commemoration much appreciate the support of East Cowes and Cowes Turn councils, the Daisy Rich Trust, Red Funnel, GJ and HK Banks, Island Concerts and Rotary.
We're now going to My View by Alan Marriott. There's a certain amount of glee we take in the Isle of Wight being held up to ridicule. As they say, any publicity is better than no publicity. This was the case recently when the Isle of Wight made national media and Have I Got News for You via the front page of this paper over the case of the blue content at one of our green vehicle charge points. For those who missed it, I took my new electric car to get it charged up at the Chapel Street car park, only to find the website the signage directed me to was a site that gave me a shock rather than a charge. I made my excuses and left, as journalists of old used to say, but my car remained short of juice and I phoned the office to pass on what turned out to be a great story. It turned out the provider had been taken over and the site listed had been hacked by an eye-popping adult site. Suffice to say, it gave a few moments of content to Victoria Coren Mitchell and Paul Merton, and we all had a little laugh. But does this mask a genuine problem with the lack of charging facilities for electric vehicles on an island that has always looked to make itself greener and more sustainable? The app Zap Map, a tongue twister I know, is the go-to place for electric car owners to find out where they can fill up their green vehicles. Sadly, the Isle of Wight does not cover itself in glory. There is the Chapel Street one, another public one at Fishbourne Ferry Terminal, and a few dotted around various supermarkets, shops and attractions. Apart from that, there are the private ones at holiday cottages and houses, and that's about it.
In January, Councillor Phil Jordan announced the Isle of Wight Council will join the Hampshire framework and get in with a plan by introducing 15 new charges in 9 locations. He admitted the island was behind the curve as Hampshire started their programme in 2018. And he is not wrong. A recent rural holiday to rural Dorset saw charge points in most small town car parks, and a recent question in the ever helpful Facebook page Isle EV saw a future tourist ask the question whether he should bring his electric car or his wife's petrol vehicle. What was the charging network like here? Atrocious was one answer, although others pointed to the places charges were available. As a major UK tourist destination, we should surely be encouraging green drivers from home and abroad. Councillor Jordan is promising the rollout of the new charge points by the summer. Let's hope he is right. It won't be a moment too soon.
Now we look at Vectis View. This is Keith Herbert, of Isle of Wight Area Manager for Southern Water. The island is a special and unique place. I feel extremely fortunate to have world-class beaches on my doorstep. Whether it is a desolate winter walk along Chiltern Chine or August Bank Holiday weekend in Ryde, our beaches play an important part of everyday life on the island, especially for my young family. Water quality at our beaches is the best it has ever been and beats most areas of the UK and Europe. 13 of our 14 bathing waters are classified as excellent by the Environment Agency, the highest possible standard. However, during heavy rainfall, many sewers overflow. The public have made it absolutely clear that this practice is no longer acceptable. The solution is not an easy one. One issue is that 40% of the flow is rainwater from domestic roofs and blocked paved driveways, 40% is highway drainage, and 15% from gardens and open spaces. The engineering challenge is that during a storm, Most areas can receive between 10 and 30 times the volume of water they get during dry weather. Storing this water or treating more is not economical or practical. Storm water tanks are only part of the solution. A 10 million litre tank can fill in less than an hour during heavy rainfall and takes huge amounts of energy to pump and treat. By way of example, during a heavy storm, over 3,000 litres, that's 3 tonnes, per second arrives at Sandown Sewage Treatment Works, almost exclusively rainwater. Investing in solutions that slow the flow of water entering the sewer is a far stronger approach that will ultimately provide better outcomes for the environment. Tackling this issue is now a priority, and the island has been selected for an industry-leading scheme to reduce sewer overflows by 80% before 2030. This has never been trialled at scale in the UK and is in addition to Southern Water's existing investment programme. The focus of the project will be upstream catchment management. Rainwater does not need treating and can be released to the environment safely. Our research shows that if we remove 40% of flow from our network, discharges will be reduced by over 80%. We believe this can be achieved without digging up every road and diverting every highway gully.
Island towns were not designed with sustainable drainage in mind. However, this can be changed. Cooperating with other agencies, customers and landowners, we can make small changes that have a big impact. One large water butt can contain the flow of a large summer storm from a medium-sized property. Tree pits in town centres can intercept water that would otherwise overwhelm the sewers and contribute towards tree-planted targets. Rain gardens or swales provide green open spaces and serve as soakaways during heavy rain. Raised flower beds fed from downpipes remove the need for regular watering and stop flow immediately hitting the sewer network. Rolled out on scale, these initiatives will have a huge impact and slow the flow. But it isn't just physical things that can improve the situation. New developments must be designed with water efficiency and drainage in mind. It isn't acceptable for stormwater drainage to be connected into the foul sewer. Other solutions need to be found, even if they are more expensive. We also plan to incentivise homeowners who remove their roof or driveway drainage from the sewer. Everyone wants to see an end to stormwater discharges, and we are committed to protecting our national environment and glorious beaches. Southern Water is taking the lead on this. However, to be successful, it will require everyone to work together on this shared problem.
And now let's look and see what's on the island. Ventnor Day is promising to be bigger and better than ever. This year's free event will take place on Saturday, July the 2nd, at Ventnor Park between noon and 6 p.m. Mayor of Ventnor, Councillor Stephen Cockett, said, "We are delighted to once again invite both Ventnorians and Islanders to our beautiful park to celebrate all that is good in our community. Last year's Ventnor Day was a huge highlight in our return to social events, and we look forward to building upon that. Last year's event had around 100 stalls and hours of live entertainment on 2 stages. This year will be even bigger. We'll see you there."
Wolverton Folk and Blues Fair is back. After a 2-year hiatus due to COVID, the 10th Wolverton Folk and Blues Fair is back this year. It will be taking place at the grounds of Wolverton Manor in Shorewell on Saturday, May the 14th, from 11:30am to 8pm. Special guest artists this year include bluesman Dave Kelly and his band, Granny's Attic and the Papa George Band. The Beer Tent acoustic stage will make a welcome return, providing a full and varied programme featuring some of the best folk and blues musicians the Isle of Wight has to offer. Other bands and artists confirmed are the Devil's Damned String Band, the Bohemians, Laurie McVeigh and the High Rollers, the Clacks Band, Steve Lowe, Brystone Barnacles, Doug Aldridge and the Silver Lining, She Sells, Knucklehead, Moonshine Border Morris, and more to be announced. Will an Isle of Wight real ale beer tent, tea tent, barbecue, children's activities, craft stalls and Morris dancing, the Wolverton Folk and Blues Fair will be a great opportunity to enjoy live music and a festival atmosphere set in beautiful grounds. The festival is held on aid of Leukemia Research at Bryce Grove School. Tickets are £10, £12 all day, and children 12 and under go free. Tickets are available from Waterstones Bookshop in Newport, the Village Shop in Bryston, Bridlesford Lodge Farm Shop in Wootton, Brystone School, and Orchard Brothers in Freshwater Bay.
And at the Apollo, coming up, we have A Dangerous Obsession, a compulsive psychological thriller. And this runs from the 20th to the 28th of May and starts at 7:30 p.m.
Right, we move on to letters now, and this is a letter from Chris Parker at Chale. Was Brexit for the best? I understand that there are comments on social media to the effect that likely closure of Newtrick UK Limited's ride factory has nothing to do with Brexit. Really? I wonder what those who are about to lose their livelihoods thought when they read their employer's statement. Business is good, it seems, rapidly rising levels of demand, but there are recruitments and supply chain complexities which decode as work permit difficulties, customs paperwork and delays, i.e. additional expense, which now hinder the smooth movement of products between their operations in the European single market and ride. As the evidence of the economic damage begins to mount up, I wonder how long it will be before at least some of those who thought Brexit might be a change for the better began to doubt what they heard from the Leave campaign.
Where have all the doctors gone? From Glenn Steen of East Cowes. Last week I walked into my health centre at East Cowes to attempt to book an appointment to see a doctor. Like most people, I only go when I need to. The receptionist is only working to instructions, so I'm not blaming her about my experience. On asking to make an appointment for any afternoon this week, I work shifts, she told me I had to fill in a form with details of my symptoms. On doing this, I asked what happens next. She told me it needs to go to the back office to be assessed on whether I would get a text message telling me when a doctor would call me. A text was received a couple of hours later saying they would call me sometime on Monday. That means I need to have my phone on me all day waiting for a phone call. It means that doctor will probably have contact with me twice if I'm lucky enough to convince him or her that I need a visual appointment. Now, I know this is awful. Government is hell-bent on going down the private route, but this is beyond ridiculous. COVID can no longer be used as an excuse. There's supposed to be 4 doctors at this surgery. Where the hell are they? We're now at the stage where I think we can take great out of Great Britain.
Hospital staff are amazing. This is a letter by Dennis H. Murphy at Lake. At the moment I'm a patient in the hospital. There are no words to describe the amazing care I'm getting from all the staff. By staff I'm talking about ladies to clean my room, the porters, all those who are involved in my op, the aftercare, and now the team looking after my recovery. You are special people / angels who show why you do what you do and the way you do it. So caring. All with your own stories that have made me laugh and cry. Working long hours too with little pay but smile through it all. It's not enough, but thank you. My prayer is that sometimes you will realise the difference you make, not with tablets or needles or knives or coffee, but by being the face who cares. I'm going to get better because of you. Take that with you tonight when you go home knackered.
And from Margaret Helms of Ventnor. On May the 10th, the Queen will be in Parliament delivering this year's Queen's speech announcing the government's priorities. I believe that plans to improve our democracy should be at the heart of that speech. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has highlighted the vulnerability of democracy around the world. In response to this, the government should take steps to strengthen and modernise our democracy at home. Measures that would help include a fair voting system, which ensures no party can achieve absolute power on the basis of a minority of votes. We also need change to ensure more transparency and accountability of our elected representatives. With trust in politicians at an all-time low, this Queen's speech needs concrete action to begin the process of restoring trust. I hope our local MP will support the course for change made by Unlock Democracy and other campaign groups.
It's a letter from David McKinley at Knighton. Russians should be held to account. The people of Russia are being told that Ukraine is full of Nazis, and, as we are seeing daily on our television screens, evidence of their indiscriminate killing of Ukrainians. We must accept this report is true. The German Nazis were held to account after the 1939-45 war, and these Russian Nazis should also be held to account. If we can't get them in a court, we should at least keep the current sanctions in place, even after shooting has stopped. Russia must be kept distant from Western contact for the foreseeable future.
And from Brian Cullum of Shanklin, I read in last week's paper about the red tape required to hold a street party. I was arranging a street party for our residents in Paddock Road, Shanklin, and read the requirements and decided it was too onerous, so we're having it in our garden. What a terrible situation for such a wonderful celebration.
And it's goodbye from Paul.
And it's goodbye from Pauline. The In Touch programme follows, and the scaffolding news follows that. Elections Bill, the final decision, and accessible opera. In Touch. The Elections Bill passed the final reading stages in the House of Lords and will soon receive royal assent to be passed into law. We discussed the amendments which were approved in the House of Lords and proposed by visually impaired life peer Lord Holmes of Richmond. The amendments aim to provide blind and partially sighted people the right to vote at polling stations independently and in secret. We speak to Lord Holmes about what these amendments mean for you in future elections. The Graia Theatre Company are currently touring the UK with an opera about an 18th century blind woman composer called Maria Theresia von Paradis. The opera is called The Paradis Files and it has disability access at its core, with integrated audio description, singing and an all-disabled cast and artistic team. We speak to Selina Mills, who co-wrote the libretto, and to the star of the show, Bethan Langford, who sings the role of Maria Theresia. The presenter is Peter White, producer Beth Hemmings, production coordinator Liz Paul.
BBC Sounds, music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, an epic tale set over 200 years ago and now set to music.
Imagine Theresia is free, a fever losing her sight.
What I loved about Theresia is that she was a superstar, but she also had a life, and it wasn't like, oh, she's blind and good for her, she's so clever. It was, oh my gosh, she's, having fairs all over Europe and having a good time.
Well, we'll hear more about this now largely forgotten blind composer and the opera her life has inspired a little later on in the programme. But first, a political epic fought out much closer to home and nearing a conclusion that many think brings the right of visually impaired people to vote secretly and independently much closer. It all began when a High Court judge told the government that the current arrangements for how blind people cast their votes were unlawful and, I quote, a parody of the electoral process. Well, after a damning indictment like that, it seemed only a matter of time before the system would be reformed. And indeed, talks were taking place between the Cabinet Office and the RNIB, which, as we reported on this programme, appeared to be extremely positive. A number of schemes to aid secret and independent voting for blind people were being tried out, including the use of a tactile device paired with an audio system in polling stations. Mike Wordingham of the RNIB described on In Touch how these would work.
OK, I'm in the polling booth and I've been given the TVD over the ballot paper and this audio device to read it out.
Start. Election of Police and Crime Commissioner for Norfolk Police Area. There are 5 candidates. Vote once in column 1 for your first choice and vote once in column 2 for your second choice. Candidate 1, Crofts, John Peter.
So I can either listen on the speaker or I can put some headphones in for a little bit more privacy. OK, now I can hear on the headphones the device telling me the names of the candidates in the order they are on the ballot paper. And I can listen through a few times without someone standing over me and reading it out.
So, when a new elections bill was brought before Parliament, which seemed to contain no specific guarantees of voting methods that would ensure secrecy or independence, and instead relied on the individual judgment of returning officers, a vigorous campaign was mounted both by lobbying from outside and a series of amendments inside Parliament to strengthen the bill. Well, the battle was fought largely in the House of Lords, and it was during the second reading of the Elections Bill earlier this month that the Minister of State for the Cabinet Office, Lord Trew, indicated that many of the campaigners' points had been accepted by the government.
We've been clear from the outset the government's intention with these changes is to improve the accessibility of elections. And Lord Holmes, I think, understood our policy intentions and the noble Lord, Lord Blunkett, and has introduced welcome changes that complement them and improve them.
Well, the noble peer leading the charge on this campaign has been the visually impaired Lord Holmes. Chris Holmes, just remind us, why was this all necessary? I mean, there seemed to be such a gap between the positive conversations that were going on with government and the bill that finally came before Parliament. What went on?
I've no idea really what went on before the bill, but when we had sight of the bill, it was clear that it didn't give the necessary protections and independence to blind, visually impaired and indeed all voters to be able to cast their vote independently and in secret.
And what was the main concern about what was going to be the effect of the original bill? I mean, what was missing?
My main concern was that the bill as drafted would have led to a postcode lottery or a returning officer lottery, if you will. So in certain parts of the country, blind and visually impaired voters may have got the equipment they required to be able to vote independently in secret. In other parts of the country, they may not.
And just remind us, I mean, what are the key changes you have made?
The key change is that now, on the face of the bill, in law, equipment needs to be provided to enable or make it easier for people to vote independently and in secret. And that's then backed up with statutory guidance. For the first time, the Electoral Commission have to produce statutory guidance. Again, by law, they have to consult with relevant bodies. And the final piece of it, there's a have regard duty for returning officers. What that means is there's a very high level of responsibility for returning officers to do what's required to enable that independent, that vote in secret for all voters.
Because, of course, you never know what technology is going to come up with. So I guess that's why you don't want to be too specific. Now, there's every hope, obviously, that these amendments will bring about positive change. But some people are still concerned about whether they've gone far enough. Lord Trew, again.
I recently met, as I said, with the RNIB, and I've heard their concerns, which are echoed by the noble Baroness Lister, including risks over that guidance would not be as strong as statute or might represent the end of the conversation on accessibility that may not have disabled voters at its centre. I can only say that conversation will continue. And that is why the amendments will in fact require the Electoral Commission to consult with relevant organisations such as the RNIB and other disability charities in the production of the guidance, and also require the Commission to report on the steps that returning officers have taken to assist disabled voters. And this will promote accountability in the policy.
Do you think there is enough accountability in this, Chris?
I think so. The guidance is but one part of it. The statutory guidance which comes behind that is important. And also there's a statutory requirement for the Electoral Commission to produce a report after each election to say what steps have been taken to ensure that independence, that in-secret vote. So taken together, I think it provides independence, the right to a secret vote for blind and visually impaired people. And it does enable a variety of solutions to be brought to bear here. As you rightly say, Peter, technology changes at a pace, and it's about having that high standard around the test rather than a specific piece of equipment. It's now absolutely the case that we would want to see government, Cabinet Office, the Electoral Commission, returning officers, and indeed all of civil society coming together to take what's been now set out in statute and make a success for inclusive voting for every citizen right across the UK.
Right, it's been a long old fight. When will it get the royal assent?
Royal assent likely end this week, potentially just slightly into next week.
Lord Holmes, Chris Holmes, thank you very much indeed. Well, that was a political soap opera. Now to a real one. This story has so many elements, I'm not quite sure where to begin. It's about a now almost forgotten 18th century blind woman composer with, shall we say, a colourful private life, whose memory is now being revived by the Grey Eye Theatre Company with its production of an opera about her life, which is currently on tour. And that opera, The Paradis Files, has been written, cast and performed with the idea of disability access at its heart. Let's start with the opera's heroine, Maria Theresia von Paradis. Well, joining me is Selina Mills, who co-wrote the libretto for the opera. Selina, you've been bending my ear about Maria Theresia for years. Who was she? What was her story?
So she was called Maria Theresia von Paradis, and she's born in 1759. She dies in 1824. And she's the most amazing composer, musician, inventor, and then in her private life, quite busy with some gentlemen in the court. And she's also somebody who was incredibly famous in her own day, but somehow slipped away. And we just fell in love with her. We just thought she was fantastic and she needed a platform.
So she was well known. She spent a lot of time in Austria, I think. Was she really Mozart's lover? Do we know?
So we don't have actual evidence. What we have is letters from Mozart to his sister, Nannerl, and saying, you know, I'm seeing my little Schatz, which is my sort of little darling. So we know that they were close and intimate. We took some artistic license and ran with it, but we just don't know. But we know that they were very good friends, and he composed for her.
So why do you think she's been forgotten?
Well, I think there are sort of three reasons. One is that women in the 18th century mostly wrote music for the domestic, so at home, you know, in a private salon, but it wasn't widely in the court. Secondly, she was blind. You know, in history, blind people don't really get much of a say about their history because they're not writing and they're not reading until Braille comes along. And thirdly, she's a woman. You know, I mean, so a lot of women have been left on the hillside of history, even though at the time she was constantly in the press. That's where a lot of our information comes from, press coverage, and also very widely respected by musical contemporaries.
Now, let me bring in Bethan Langford, already the winner of several awards. She's singing the part of Maria Theresia von Paradis. Tell me more about the elements of the opera which make it particularly accessible to disabled people. I mean, you all introduce yourselves to the audience on stage, don't you?
We do. So this is, again, I've never done this in an opera I've done in the past. We walk onto stage and the first thing we do is speak to the audience. And, you know, that doesn't really happen. We sing always. So we walk on and we all describe the set and we describe what we're wearing. We describe what we look like.
Hello, I'm Bethan. I'm tall, like Ben. I have a brunette bob and a fringe. I'm visually impaired and a little bit clumsy. I'm standing here in the other gilded frame with red velvet curtains on either side. And Chandu signs for me too. So here is my sapphire gown. And I have a matching cape. Both of them are embossed with hand-embroidered flowers. And I have red cuffs with long bows. And when I put this costume on, I become Theresia von Paradis, the blind enchantress. I'll just go and get ready.
We actually got to write our own audio description in our own words, which was quite freeing and quite nice to be able to do that. And so the audience then, be it in whatever disability or whatever capacity they need, can access the opera before we start singing and they understand what they're viewing.
Now, I would guess, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the first time that you've ever played a character who is visually impaired. I mean, did you find that liberating or was it a bit odd?
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm visually impaired, so I do have some useful sight. All of my operatic career, I've almost had to kind of fake being kind of sighted, and all the roles I've played, I play sighted people, so I generally have to make sure that I know my set and I know my blocking very well, so I don't ever show that I can't see anything. Whereas in this, Jenny, the director, said, Bethan, we know you're not sighted. If you need guiding around the stage, if you need to feel for a chair, if you need to stop for a minute and get some help, you can, which for me was, it's incredible. But it also felt at the beginning quite difficult and quite challenging for me because I'm so used to kind of pretending that I'm fine. But also the other interesting thing is that Teresia, we know, was blind and I'm not fully blind. So I also was a bit worried about the kind of moral challenge of, do I play a fully blind person, And Jenny said, no, Bethan, you play what you can see. You're visually impaired. You tell the audience at the beginning that's what you are and you play your experience, which has been so freeing. I can't describe.
And there are a lot of other recognisable dilemmas for visually impaired people in the plot, aren't there? Such as the search for a cure for Maria Theresia.
Yes, yeah. That was a particularly challenging scene where her mother and father take Teresia to various different doctors to try and cure her. She goes through a process of having her eyes kind of lit with electricity and bandaged and all these awful experiences that must have left her very traumatised.
Skilled practitioner, supreme in experimental bleeding techniques. Just a little discomfort while I pin you down. Just a little, while I pin you down. Oh, she's not telling us if only I'd set up crying.
And she says, I don't want a cure. I never asked for this. And that particularly resonates with me because, our identity is found within our disability. And it's often from people who are able-bodied and fully sighted who think that we need to live up to their standards of their living. And in fact, we're perfectly happy in our own world, So even when I was a child, I had some kind of treatments to try and make my eyes work. And it still affects me today thinking about it, really.
And that's a pretty harrowing part of the performance, I believe.
It is, yeah. I kind of end up on the floor kind of screaming at everyone. But it's also, after this scene happens, I stand up and I say, you think you know me, but I know who I am and I'm happy with who I am and I don't need this from you. And it's quite an empowering moment, actually. It turns into a positive, despite all the kind of trauma that she goes through.
Just one more thing. How well do you think visually impaired people can get a full sense of opera? I mean, clearly we can enjoy the music, but so much of it is about visual scene setting. I mean, you obviously have, because you're making a career out of it.
I mean, I experience it on the stage and I'm surrounded by it and I know I have that joy of being able to touch the set and touch the costumes. But as an audience member, I do struggle. I particularly find it hard when you're watching something and everyone around you is laughing at something that they can see and you can't. And that's why it's so brilliant that all of the audio description within the piece is within the libretto and it's within the story. So you don't have to sit with a headphone in and you don't have to miss the comedy or the tragedy because it's all written in the script. And that's something that is, again, completely unique to this piece.
Gerda goes to the door. A woman stands outside. She is old and frail. I've come to say I'm sorry. Mother and daughter stand ready. Gerda in the middle.
And Selina, I know this is something that's very dear to your heart. Has it come off, do you think?
I came out of the previews. I did cry. It was very, because it was just so moving. And also it made me understand that opera can be different. However much we all try very hard to make it accessible and inclusive, it's a really difficult form to share. And Jenny and Grey Eye did it just so well. You'll get something from it. You might not get the whole thing. So like for the deaf community, there's subtitles and signing. And for the blind community, there's audio description from the gossips. There are these gossips who go in and start telling you what's going on. And I didn't ever imagine that what I wrote on the back of a napkin, sort of as I started, would come out of Bethan's mouth. It's quite mind-blowing, actually.
And do you think there are some more visually impaired unknowns just waiting to have their reputations exhumed?
Oh, yeah, particularly women. Again, you don't want to go into the inspiration versus burden, like the superstars. I think what I loved about Teresa is that she was a superstar, but she also had a life. And it wasn't like, oh, she's blind and good for her, she's so clever. It was, oh my gosh, she's, having affairs all over Europe and having a good time and also going through with, mother trauma or whatever it is. So I sort of know for sure there are some women out there on the hillsides of history. We just haven't found them yet.
Selena Mills, Bethan Langford, thank you both very much indeed.
She plays the piano, roasting her music.
Well, the Parody Files is currently making its way around the UK, and it'll be in Perth this coming Thursday and Friday, and then on to Cardiff and Sheffield. Enjoy if you can get there. And that's it for today. You can email us in touch at bbc.co.uk. You can leave your voicemails on 0161 836 1338 or go to our website bbc.co.uk/in touch. From me, Peter White, producer Beth Hemmings and studio managers Chris Hardman and Tom Parnell. Goodbye.
This is the Scaffolding and Skips news for the week commencing the 2nd of May 2022. Newport, Guildhall High Street. The Old Mill, St Cross Lane. Boots Chemist, that's 122 to 126 High Street. Newport Minster, St Thomas's Square. 11 Lower St James's Street. Exchange House, St Cross Lane. And in Ryde, Area 52, 38 Castle Street. The Crown Inn Pub, St Thomas's Square, High Street. 24B Union Street. Bembridge Skips, 63 High Street, 62 Stane Road. Seaview, Warren Boats, Blewett Avenue, 2 and 3 Circular Road. Brading, 74 and 76 Lower Furlongs. Sandown, Happy Haddock High Street, 20 High Street and 12 Avenue Road. Shanklin, Sunny Bay Flats, that's in 2 Alexandra Road. Post House High Street. Cowes, Old NatWest Bank, 104 High Street. Jersey Cottage, that's on Market Hill, Sun Hill. Cowes Skips, 63 Moor Green Road. Ventnor Hursts, 4 High Street. 2 High Street. Central Hotel, High Street, Market Street. Ventnor Skips, 16 Ocean View Road. And finally Freshwater Area, Jaffran Indian Restaurant, 45 School Green Road. And Meadow Barn, Western Road, Totland.